Hello friends, welcome back for some more of our walkthrough of Oxygen Not Included Spaced Out. We're on part 34. Let's check back on our Dreco ranch that we had. I let the petroleum flow longer than I really intended, which warmed us up quite a bit, but even still, we're totally fine. The reason that petroleum is actually pretty good to use is because it typically, unless you're using like a boil or something, will come out at a temperature that's pretty habitable for these things, so... yeah, we've got this going. It's going to take it a little while for the Drecos to get tamed and start putting out a lot of eggs. But this will start to get more and more filled up over time, and then we will have a nice little clutch of eggs, I guess, for us to steal whenever we need to take it somewhere else. So, yeah, just following up on the last video. Like I mentioned, we need to do one more thing on this asteroid before we start sending people home. We need a way to deal with the Oxylite showers that are going to be coming down here. And I haven't really talked about this a lot, but the temperature that this Oxylite comes down at is actually pretty reasonable. Obviously, we're going to need a little bit of cooling because it's still kind of warm. But the good thing about this is that this can also serve as something that will cool our machinery that's out here. Because one of the issues of being out in a vacuum is that a lot of different machines will produce heat, and you need some way to cool them, but the Oxylite ought to be enough when it lands and entombs these things to cool it down. So kind of a interesting setup. It's a pretty easy one to get up, so let's start doing that. So all I'm going to do is just create a area a little bit higher than my solar panels. I guess you could go all the way down, but I remember there being some issues earlier where solar panels would get damaged by tiles if they were like right on top of this and meteors would hit. I think they might have just fixed it, but just in case they didn't, might as well be safe. So all I'm going to be doing is creating a place where these meteors can hit. And these meteors are different than the ones that are on the other planet. The ones that land here, at least not the slime ones, the like big, awful regolith ones that are super hot, those will damage your tiles. But the slime ones and the Oxylite ones and any of the other stuff that comes down here, like there's these little pebble, like meteor or whatever things that will come down, but they won't do any damage either. So all I need to do is just line this whole thing with mesh tile all the way over to the edge. So I'll just go ahead and get a line of that up, just kind of build a ladder here. This is going to take my duplicants a long time to do, by the way, so we might have a little bit of downtime here while we do this off camera, because this is a lot. So I'm just going to do this to the other side too, and my frame rate is really bad right now. Okay, there we go. So yeah, let's get this all done up here too. Just need that for starters. We're just going to kind of do this in phases. So the first thing we're going to need is this. I also like to put drywall here. I'm not 100% sure if this is needed, to be honest. I've only done this a handful of times, and I haven't experimented as much as I probably should to see if without the drywall everything still stays cool. But I still want to put a couple layers of drywall here just to help cool the machinery down, because I don't want to be in a situation where this machinery is overheating. That's going to be really annoying to come back out here and have to fix. So I'm just going to put down a couple of layers of drywall just to be safe. Actually, what are we shipping out here? Is it granite? Yeah, I should probably make these out of granite because it's a lot more accessible. So let me cancel all this stuff. So yeah. Granite ought to be right nearby. The gold amalgam ought to be right nearby. So hopefully this won't take my duplicants too long. I don't even know why I'm pausing. I'm like, hey, we are going to be waiting a lot of the time as I pause for no reason. So yeah, just need to set up something really basic like this. I know this is very repetitive, but hey, let's see how long we can put off the day load. Here, I'm not going to let up on my mouse until we're ready. Take that, game. Okay, I'm ready now. There we go. Yeah, get that load in. Someone would be overhearing this conversation from the other room and be like, what is he talking about? Alright. I actually think I can keep this going for a little bit. So as my duplicants are building this, all we're going to need out here is some machinery that's going to be able to dig the Oxylite out and then ship it back. So I'm going to use a bunch of these robo-miners. We did talk about this a little bit. And if you make it out of gold or copper, you're going to get a overheat temperature bonus that will help these out quite a bit. So I'm going to make it out of one of those two. Again, I'm not 100% sure if that's going to be a problem. I just would rather be safe. So yeah, just going to kind of throw them down. And I'm going to throw them down to enough that they cover each other. So like, for example, the range on this one is these blue squares. it covers its two neighbors, and so on and so on. I just want that so that if one of them gets entombed, the other one can dig it out, and so on and so on. For the most part, you should be fine. Worst case scenario, they're going to be entombed until... I guess I'll put another one here. This is kind of awkward. Worst case scenario, they're going to be entombed until the Oxylite all gases off, which... whatever. Like, that's not the worst case scenario, but I'd really rather have this for oxygen. Why does this not like this? Oh, it's probably just because the tiles aren't built yet. I'm like, I swear you can do that. The solar panel's built in the, like, fog, whatever that is. So yeah, just gonna kind of cover them up like that. I'll do the other side separately, so we don't need to watch the whole thing. In between, though, I'm just gonna place an auto sweeper, because the auto sweeper is gonna be responsible for grabbing the stuff that falls, loading it into some bins, and we're gonna ship it all back. This one, I guess, could kind of go sideways. And then this one up here, I'm just gonna do in the middle of these two. I hate that it kind of blacks this out. Like, you can still get over there. I think that's still in range, though, so that should be able to cover everything. Wow, that worked out nicely. Okay, cool. And then all we're gonna need is just some, conveyor loaders. Again, made out of either gold or copper would be ideal. Just gonna put them all down like this, each one, so that they can all ship stuff back. There. Obviously, the shipping lines are going to be next. Let's go ahead and lay that down really quickly, which again, I'm just going to use a material that's pretty common out here. So there we go. Also, by the way, this is not 100% necessary to keep this base running. This is also going to be handy for us later when we start running rockets that need Oxylite. We're just going to be able to get it for free instead of having to produce it. Who's trapped? Oh, nice. How did... Oh, I guess I got over right here. It's like, how did you even get over there? So yeah, the shipping lines, what I would like to do is I'd like to kind of stick them inside the tiles as much as I can, because if they're inside the tiles, that means they're not going to be gassing off nearly as much while they're still out in space. So I'm going to run two separate lines. The first line is just going to come up here, and I have two separate drop-off points for this, by the way. Once it's inside my base, I don't necessarily need to be in tiles, because if it's gassing off in my base, then that's exactly what I wanted it to do. However, I'm thinking about this again, and let me do something a little bit different. Rather than running straight to these drop-offs, let me actually run this to another spot. Let's do this instead. I'm going to drop this off up here, and I'm going to build a wall, and this is just going to be an area where all of our Oxylite gas is off. The reason that I'm doing this, and the reason I'm remembering this now, is sometimes with your Oxylite, it can just overpressurize everything if it's in a bad spot where it is gassing off. Obviously, we haven't had that problem here because we've had a lot of duplicates, but if you have only one and it gets like a packet of something on it, or there's something weird going on with the gases over here, or water spills or something like that, it can cause your whole base to overpressurize, and that's really bad for your duplicates. They do not like that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to deconstruct this really quickly, and I'm going to make a small room where the Oxylite will all drop off. And it'll just kind of sit there. It doesn't need to necessarily be in a bin or anything like that. And while it sits there, I'm going to have it inside or rather, I'm going to have a couple pumps inside there that are going to pump the oxygen out into the base. And by limiting it with the gas vents, that will make sure that I don't have my base get super overpressurized. So that's kind of the idea. I'm just going to split it into two different parts because it gases off more efficiently if it's in smaller, like more piles instead of bigger piles, if that makes sense. So I'll put two here, and then I'll split the other one into two to kind of drop it off into a room like that. Then we're going to need a little bit of space for a pump, and we should only really need one because there's only going to be one duplicate here. But once we get that, that'll just kind of build a little room for the Oxylite to gas off in, and then we will send all the oxygen out into the base. We could also cool this if we really wanted to. I was debating kind of just running it through this area because this area is already pretty cold, considering we have some cooling running here. So maybe I'll just kind of run the pipe from this and just kind of send it straight down and have it cool off here. Because, I mean, it's not that warm. Like, it's only 38, but still. I'd rather cool it if I can, just to have a nice, you know, cool down base. Nobody wants to be sweating in their dupe outfits. Can attest to that. That's awful. Game loads again. We didn't get it this time. Alright. Then just kind of run it down here. I'm just going to use some radiant gas pipes. Just kind of run it right in the middle. Not the most efficient way to cool this, but also it's not that big a deal. Once it gets out to the end here, just going to set it off on its own little vent. So there we go. And then I guess to help the pressure distribute a little bit more, we could just replace some of these tiles with mesh tiles like that. Because we're going to have our pumps here for oxygen to fill everything else up. I will replace these eventually with just this one because, you know, if it's already pumping, then I might as well not send it out and pump it again. So let me think about this. Do I need a second pump for this? Probably not. Actually, you know what we could do? We could make this even a little bit more efficient if we want to be nerds. We could just set up something like this, and then just have it kind of come out like that. Then we can make this room a little bit smaller if you want to be like sardines packed in there. There we go. So now this one can just be the oxygen for the base. And notice how I'm like kind of avoiding my bristle blossoms if I can, because this is going to be hot oxygen, so I'm going to kind of keep it away as much as I can. Guess I could do that to be a little bit better if we wanted to, again, be nerds. We're all nerds, deal with it. And then the second one, I'm just going to use some igneous rock and just kind of keep it in some pipes. It's going to... what's this word I'm looking for? Keep it protected. I guess, like, keep the heat from escaping. Just going to send it in there like that. This is going to be kind of warm, so I guess I will kind of prepare all this stuff. And then we're going to need to make sure that our automation that's going to tell it that this pump needs to turn on to send some more oxygen down. We can just kind of hook it up to the same automation that we had these ones on too. So lots of stuff for my duplicants to do right now, but this is going to be pretty much it. Let me give them some time to build this out. So it's going to take them a little while. Oh, the other thing that we need to run out here is power. I would recommend just running it out with a transformer, only because we have basically infinite refined metal now. So the regular metal, I guess metal ore, is much more precious at this point. So I'd much rather spend my refined metal, because I know I'm going to get it all back. The regular metal or metal ore or whatever, not exactly something I can get from volcanoes, unfortunately. So if I can use an infinite resource, I might as well. We'll just kind of run it up here like this. I might need 2 transformers to get all this stuff. I don't remember how much all this is going to occupy. I think I will need 2 because all this stuff is going to turn on at pretty much the same time. So yeah, some boring stuff. I'll get all that stuff done. Once this is all up and good to go, I will hope for a meteor shower, and if we get one, I'll put it on camera. So give me just a bit to get it all set up. Okay, friends, it's been a while. I'm kind of a little tired of waiting for a meteor shower to come, and there's a lot more things that we need to do. So what I'm going to do in this second half of this video is I'm going to kind of explain the state that we're in on this asteroid. And if a meteor shower just happens to fall upon us during this, it would be very helpful. But this is really what the setup looks like once it's done. And this is the state that I want to leave this asteroid in. So there you go, all done. But let's at least talk about where we're leaving this for the time being and what our plans are for this asteroid. So everywhere that I have a big field of debris, I have shipping set up to kind of send that back to the center of my base right now. So I have it coming in 4 at a time, just to sweep everything up. I could use my duplicants to do this, but I kind of want to get my duplicants off this asteroid and doing something else. And I don't need all these resources right now, so I'm fine with just letting them kind of trickle in. So, anywhere that there's debris, I'm going to be sweeping it up. Same with all right here, just a bunch of stuff being shipped. Same with right here, right there too. Here has all been cleaned up already, so I'm basically cleaning up everything because I want to take a lot of supplies back to my main base. In particular, the things that I'm interested in. We can just jump through this really quickly since I abbreviated this a little bit the last time we talked. Phosphorite we want, any extra atmo suits I would like. Refined carbon, yes. Clay. Databanks, the poke shell molts, I want to take back. All of the metal ore, except for I'm going to leave one type behind in case I need to do anything else here. The diamond, we want to take. Eggshells, we definitely want to take. Fossil, granite. This is the granite, sandstone, and sedimentary rock is more hatch food so that we can refill that. Obsidian is just for our rocket setup. Fossil for our lime. 2 types of refined metal. I'm going to leave a few of them behind. Actually, I thought I meant to take more than this. I thought I set this up already. I'm just going to leave the copper behind for now, and we can come back and get that later. And then any seeds that I find I want to take too. Come on, heavens, give me a meteor shower. Ah, boo. So, that's kind of the state that we're going to leave it in, and all of that stuff that I just named in those bins is going to be sent to this block right here, because in the next video, we're going to start shipping all this stuff back to our main base, and we're going to get all of our duplicants off of this asteroid except for one. I just want to keep one behind, just to keep things running and make sure we can run some repairs and stuff like that in case anything goes wrong, because I pretty much regard this, at least this is what I've learned, or maybe it's just a me problem. No matter how much experience you have in this game, you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to have to go back and correct things. Whatever. It's not something that's worth, like, sweating over. It's not a big deal. So, since there have been no meteor showers, I promise that when a meteor shower does come up, we will see this in action. I'll just kind of switch back to it whenever I see it. But the next video that we're going to do here is really just going to be getting these duplicants off and getting all this material back as soon as we can. So we're going to do that pretty much right after this, but in the next part. So I'll see you over there in just a minute. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.